So we're gonna start with our blankets. When it comes off of it usually looks like this when we're at the studio. We're just gonna open it up and then fold in thirds. Doesn't have to be an exact science. I like to make sure that the tassels are by the mat and not by my back. I find that they tickle. That's it. And from there, we're just gonna roll our spine down. Let the shoulder blades rest on the blanket. The tops of the shoulders come down to the ground. The back of the head comes down. I like cactus arms here, but of course you can take any arm position.
Oh my God, this is hard on the scoliosis.
Okay, so if it's hard, you can lower the roll,
Okay.
roll it in half,
Okay. Well, it's like I'm trying to do, I can't go down.
and that is okay.
Okay.
Sometimes if I roll it in half, I'll leave that extra piece for my head
Okay.
so that it's not so intense.
Yes, ma'am. I was like, oh my Lord,
Yeah.
I can't.
Elizabeth, I'm glad you spoke up because everything in yoga is optional.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody
That's
has
what I like about it.
Yeah. Everybody has a different body, a different feeling, a different way of interacting with the pose.
Yes.
So at any time in any class, if the shape doesn't work for you, adjust or avoid.
Okay.
Perfect. Take these first couple of moments just to settle in, to notice, to feel the breath moving through your body. I'm reading from Gabrielle Harris's book, The Inspired Yoga Teacher. She writes, when we stake a tomato plant, we are saying, here, take this support as a reminder of what you can do or how tall you can grow with a little help. Listening, attention, nurturing, and serving are all ways we can offer our support and kindness to promote growth and healing and to help those we love expand. May this practice remind you that the world is indeed a friendly, kind, supportive place. I'd like to repeat that intention, that purpose for the practice, to remind you that the world is loving, it is supporting. We might not see it all the time, but believe that it's there in the undercurrents of our lives. And then allow the breath to slow a bit. That might find a pause in between the inhale and the exhale. It might be a longer beat of breath. However it arises, however that calls to you, slowing the breath, invite that to move through you. Bring awareness to the fingers and to the hands. Rest the back of the hands on the floor, on the mat, doesn't matter where, wherever they reach. Palms are open to the sky. Stretch and widen the space between the fingers, really activate. And then curl the fingers in, make a fist, but leave the back of the hand on the floor or the mat. Inhale, lengthen and extend through the fingers. Exhale, curl in, make a fist. Two more. As you curl the fingers in to make that fist, start to lift the knuckles up to the sky. Keep the forearms and the wrists on the floor, knuckles stretching up to the sky. Notice what fires up. Lay the back of the hand on the floor, widen the fingers, lengthen them out, and then repeat that. Curl in, make a fist, lift the knuckles, notice, and release. As we move through two more, just flowing with your breath. Begin to recognize, is it the forearms that activate? Is it the shoulders? Does one shoulder kind of curl in a little bit? Maybe you feel the ribs press against the blanket. Wherever you are, release it. Let's stretch the arms up to the ceiling, straight up out of the shoulder socket. Make an X with the arms and give yourself a hug. If you'd like to find a little massage of the shoulders underneath your fingertips, that's always available. If you'd like to move the elbows a little bit, maybe elbows to face and then elbows to the chest, that is available too. Notice what's going on with the legs. We're going to slide the heels along the mat and place the soles of the feet on the mat, knees to the sky. And then lift the arms up to the ceiling once more. We're going to change the cross of the arms, but this time hands grab the elbow or the bicep, anywhere on the arm, really. So you've got like a little square shape. We call this our typewriter movement. As we exhale, let the elbows dip down to one side. As we inhale, let the elbows lift. Alternating sides as you exhale. Inhale to lift. Little side to side motion. The next time the elbows drip over to one side, pause there. Notice what it would feel like to take the gaze away from the elbows. And then bring everything to center. Elbows drip to the other side, gaze in the opposite direction. Everything to center. We'll take one more, both sides. Meet with the elbows down to the side. My elbows are drifting left, but it really doesn't matter which direction you're moving. We're going to take the knees, cascade them to the opposite side, away from the elbows. You can keep the gaze toward the knees. You can take a couple of breaths here. As you inhale, knees, gaze, elbows lift up to the sky. And we change sides. Several breaths here, lingering, feeling the stretch through your body. Next inhalation, knees and elbows and gaze lift. Let's move with the breath. Exhale, one side. Inhale to center. Exhale, other side. Inhale, center. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. As we come back through center, release the arms. We're gonna wiggle our way toward the center of the room. Find a little spot where you can press into the feet and lift the hips. Slide the blanket underneath the tailbone. I actually like mine a little bit higher up near the pelvis. Invite the legs to lengthen on the mat. This is a really intense stretch for many people, especially along the hip flexors, so you can always keep a bend in the knee. Take the arms out alongside the body, palms up to the sky. Just notice how this feels. Shift the awareness to the toes. Can you bend the toes like a fist? And then lengthen them out, spread between the toes. Very similar to what we did with our hands. Now we're moving through the toes. Maybe there's 2 more. And then invite some circles into the ankles. Pointing away, drawing the toes toward the face, circling. You'll notice there's a little shifting along the blanket. That's the reason why we chose the blanket. We often lose our balance if we shift on the block. Think about it as a massage for that tailbone, that space at the low back that gathers tension. Take your circles in the opposite direction. And pause. Reach the arms to the center of the room, full body stretch. Interlace the fingers and roll the palms away from your head. So palms are moving to the center of the room. Reach through the right side. Reach through the left. There might be a little shift of the hips side to side. And then release the hands. Bend the knees once more. We're gonna roll over to your favorite side and then just press up. Take a little bit of work here on our knees and on our shins. So when you arrive, feel free to spread the mat out, place it underneath the knees. We're going to take a little high kneel. This movement is specifically for my Elizabeth today. Whenever there's an irregularity within the body, a little curve in the spine or a little tightness in a muscle along the hip, the body moves differently. There's one side that's stronger than the others. So we're gonna, good, you know what I'm talking about. She's like, I live this. So we're gonna work isometrically. We're gonna work one side at a time. The movement's pretty simple once we get it going. We'll inhale and reach your right hand up and overhead. And then exhale and reach that hand behind you. Bend the elbow, place the hand on the low back. And just take a couple of movements just like that. Moving slowly, becoming aware if the body shifts to one side or the other. Keep the hand resting on the low back, on the waist. Reach the other arm forward and up. Perfect. Now think about hinging the hips to the heels. Bring the belly to the thigh. You can bring that hand that's overhead down to the mat for support. As you inhale, we're going to press into the tops of the feet, the shins, lift back up. That's the movement. Exhale, hips to the heels, folding in on ourselves. Inhale, lifting up. 2 more, if you please. As you lower down, rest a little bit. Stretch that right arm forward. Find yourself in a super soft child's pose. Maybe stack the fist or the hands and rest the forehead on it. Notice the way the spine curves and rounds over the legs. Notice the breath. Invite the breath to spread along the backside of the body, maybe even puffing up along the spine. With the next inhale, come all the way up, high kneel. Try that on the other side. So the opposite arm reaches up toward the sky and then comes down alongside the body, elbow bends, back of the hand to the waist. Inhaling to extend, to take up space. Exhaling to come in. As that hand comes along the waist, we pause. Other hand moves forward, center of the room, reach it up. As we exhale, hips to heels, fold in on yourself. Inhale, lifts back up. 3 more, please. Just like before, as we take that third one and the hand comes down, find yourself in child's pose again. Rest the belly onto the thighs. We're going to take the hands over to one side. If you'd like, stack the hands. If it feels better to keep the thumbs touching, do that. Send the hips back and down. I really like to dip the chin toward the chest here in this stretch. Walk the hands over to the other side. Sending hips down and back. And then come forward. From here, we're going to lower the forearms down to the ground, coming into a forearm tabletop. I instinctively slid my knees under my hips a little bit. Keep the forearms parallel. The tendency here is to, actually, let's try that. Bring the hands toward one another. Notice what happens in the shoulders. And then slide the hands away from each other, even toward the outer edges of the mat, and notice what happens. And try that just a few times, exploring. You might feel movement in the shoulder. It might feel a pull on the elbows. I'm going to come back to that parallel. Forearms are parallel, hands are parallel. But if that doesn't work in your body, find the one that works for you. We'll press into elbows and knees and puff the back up to the sky. Cat stretch. Let the belly descend, let the chest descend. Gaze past your fingertips. Cow. Moving with your breath between the two. Take 2 more, just like that. Neutral spine, press into the hands, lift the elbows. Bend the elbows, tap them back down. Some of you might like to move one arm at a time. And always move both arms at a time. Tuck your toes. Lift the knees, send the hips up and back. We're going to take our hands and walk them toward our feet. Bend the knees generously. Nod the head, yes. Very soft forward fold. Slide the hands up the legs, let them rest on the thighs. Press into the hands and the feet, lift all the way up. Roll the shoulders around and down the back. Couple of breaths in Tadasana. Noticing and feeling. Sophia, I always think that I'll have a class where you can see my head, but it never works out. Whew. Okay. From here, we're just going to turn around and face the wall. Take the hands and press the hands against the wall. I like my palms a little bit higher than my shoulders. That works well in my wrist. Arms are long and strong. The feet are soft. The knees are soft. Just like we did when we were kneeling, we're going to use the support of the wall this time rather than the floor. Bend the elbows, shift the body forward. Straighten the elbows, pressing, coming back in. As we move through this, there's a lot of movement in the arms, but there's also this sensation. It's basically a push-up or a chaturanga, right? The next time your elbows come to the wall, pause there. Really press into the forearms from the elbow all the way to the fingertips. Maybe even grip the wall with the fingertips. Now think about the tailbone, your bum, your hiney. Start to send it back into the center of the room. You might be able to lower the ears down in line with the biceps. You might just dream about it. Draw the belly in and up. Belly button comes in and up to the spine. We shift back forward. That little forearm plank. And then press up. Full plank. Let's try that again. Forearm plank. Belly moves back. Bum moves back. Engage the belly. Draw the body forward. And extend. Let the hands come down alongside the body, shake it out. Turn around, place the back against the wall. I'm going to keep my feet far away. I'm going to lean back into it and then come to a little wall seat. So walk the feet out. You might be able to lower the bum. Laura, you can lower all the way down in line with your knees. I have to challenge her a little bit there. Press into the feet with the same intensity that you're pressing back toward the wall. Now, if you're stable, this is optional. Reach one hand across the lap and dip the shoulder forward. Come back through center. Alternating. Little distraction from those thighs burning. Little bit of mobility, noticing how the back interacts with the wall. Last one, if you're reaching with me. Last breath, if you're in stillness. Press into the feet, slide up the wall. Legs are long here. I'm going to rest my hands just right there at the tops of my thighs near my hips. Notice the parts of the body that touch the wall. There's a curve naturally in the spine. So you might even be able to take a hand and slide it between the low back and the wall. And then as you're ready, lean to one side, step the foot back to the wall. Come to stand. Walk forward a little bit. Kick your blanket off the mat. Perfect. We're having fun today. Turn back around, face the wall. I'm gonna start just like I did before with my hands. They might even actually be in line with the shoulders if you'd like. Left foot's gonna stay rooted. Right leg's gonna reach up, tap the knee against the wall. Perfect. Notice if the hips kind of shift or rock or lift. Can you level out the hips? Could you explore here, keeping the knee and the shin and the foot on the wall? Could you explore letting go of the hands? Bring the hands back. Press into the hands, step that lifted foot to the back of the mat. Lengthen through the leg, bend through the front knee. Press into the wall. Feel energy from the back foot that went all the way down on the mat, through the spine, into the hands at the wall. We're gonna move between the two of those. So press into your left foot, that's the front one. Draw the body up and forward. Slide the shin, maybe arms lift up, maybe you stay connected to the wall. Find the wall, step the floating foot back. Press. Two more just like that. We all move typically at different paces, at different speeds. So as you finish your second one, just find mountain pose, Tadasana. Letting the breath flow through the body. Listening, attention, nurturing, and serving are all ways we offer support and kindness to promote growth and healing, and to help those we love to expand. Let's try the other side. This time, right foot roots, left shin comes to the wall. Really press into the wall with that shin. Press into the right foot on the floor. Level the hips. Maybe the arms lift, maybe they don't. If they're lifted, bring them back to the wall. Step the floating foot back. High lunge. Press. Extend through the body. And then move with your breath. Just like before, as you finish the fourth one, meet into Tadasana. Mountain pose. Studying the breath, noticing and feeling. Perfect. Let's move into warrior two here at the wall. I'm going to take the outer edge of my right foot and place that pinky up against the wall. Perfect. The left leg, the one on the inside of the room, we're going to step it out toward the center of the room. Toes are going to move to the short edge of the mat. Right hand is there for support at the wall. Now I want you to kind of play and wiggle and shift. Think about the front knee. We're going to let that front knee, that bent knee, dip in and then dip out. Yes, that's it. So the knee is dipping into the arch and then it's dipping out. Perfect. And then let the knee be still. Can you sink that front hamstring down to the ground. What if you really press into that wall for supports? Beautiful. We've got a lot of variations here, Sophie, and hands. I've got my hands on the wall and on my front leg. Lori and Elizabeth have their arms extended. We're all trying to breathe. Straighten the front leg. Perfect. Take a couple of flows here. Front knee bends and then extends. It bends and then extends. One more. Perfect. The next time the knee bends, we're going to cartwheel our hands forward, frame that front foot, lift the back heel. Kind of wiggle and step the heels toward the wall. Down dog. Heels are on the wall. Arms are on the mat. Yes, take it easy. Any transitions you'd like.
I'm trying to, I'm not gonna order. I'm trying to get myself.
I love it. So Elizabeth came to knees first. So if I was in my knees first, Elizabeth, I would draw the belly in toward the spine, press into my hands and shift back. I know that's a lot easier to say than to do.
I did it with the blocks.
Perfect. Excellent. We need a little bit of height.
Yes.
Lori, I'm going to give you a challenge here while we're working on this down dog. Would you slide one heel up the wall? Take three-legged dog at the wheel. Toes are on the wall, but the heel is not. Try that three-legged dog. Take it to the other side. Then we release. Lower the knees down. Take a few rounds of cat and cow here on the floor. Lift up to a high knee. Before we did this little asymmetrical. Y'all, I am so hot today.
I'm hot too. Is there a country? It's all right.
It's on. It's on 69. I've never turned it that low in the studio.
You know which one? I think it's this one that gets left on black. Where it doesn't run.
Okay, I'll show you the next move and then I'll adjust the air conditioner for us in studios. So this time we're going to reach both arms up. Thanks, Lori. As we hinge into child's pose, swing the arms around behind you. Fingers reaching to the heels. Press into the shins, lift up, high kneel, arms come with you. How low is it?
It was on 72, but it said 76.
Oh, it's just taking a while to cool down.
Well, no, the inside is 76.
Wow.
Set to 72. I think it's that one that causes it to be.
Okay. Well, maybe I just needed a good sweat today. It happens. We're going to take an extra one just because this one feels really good for me. I hope it feels good for you. Perfect. Let the hands support you. So I'm bringing my hands down to the ground. I'm tucking the toes. I'm going to lift my legs and walk the hands back. Let the bum come against the ground, walk, feet on the ground. Little forward fold. Feel free to bend the knees, to nod the head yes or no. And then using the support of the wall, start to roll the body up. Ooh, that was harder than it seemed. Pause, resting the back against the wall. If you'd like, close your eyes, return to the breath. Notice your breath coming in and out. Lift the body away from the wall, coming into warrior two. This time our left pinky toe is up against the wall. The right foot crawls its way forward to the center of the room. I'm going to play around with the front knee, dip it in, stretch it back side of the body. Just rocking and rolling, noticing the movement that's available. Letting the knee be still. Think about paralleling that hamstring, heavy to the ground. Press the pinky toe into the wall for support. Straighten the front leg and bend the knee. Flowing with the breath. The next time it bends, pause there. Just like before, as many steps as it takes. Cartwheel the arms forward to frame that foot. Lift the back heel, step the foot back. You've got a choice here to linger in down dog with heels on the wall, hands on the mat. You've got a choice to explore that three-legged down dog. Your choice, your breath. Allow the knees to drip down to the mat. Lower the belly, lower the chest. And then wiggle your way back. So the shins are coming to the wall. They don't have to touch. I like a little space. So if I flex my feet, the toes touch the wall. Forearms are underneath the body, a little version of Sphinx pose. Check in with the low back. If this becomes intense, widen the knees. And then explore for me for a moment. Let the belly sag and become heavy. Spread it out on the mat. And then draw the belly up and in. Press into the forearms, lengthening and extending. And just move through those. I always forget that one little subtle shift can change the whole feeling in a pose. And then I do this and I'm like, oh yeah, sure does. Next time the belly sags, let it come all the way down, widen the elbows, stack the hands, make a little pillow for your forehead. I'm going to bring my chin to my hands just so my words don't become muffled. And then slide the legs closer together. We're going to work one leg at a time. Start to slide one foot up the wall, lengthening through that leg, extending. Once you're reaching with the heel of the foot toward the wall. And then lower back down, the hip comes down, the thigh comes down, knee bent. Stay on that side. We'll do 3 more. If you're alternating, that's totally cool. Lifting and extending. You might even be exploring, how does this feel with my belly drawn in versus how does it feel with my belly soft? We'll do 4 on each side. Again, whether you're working one side at a time or both sides alternating, your choice. I'm gonna throw this in there. It is always optional, but if you're feeling feisty, would you leave one foot up there and then start to reach the other foot too? Press into the wall. Whew, huge hyper hip extension and then lower down. When you lower down, widen the knees, let the toes come toward one another. So it looks kind of like Baddha Konasana, or is Baddha Konasana, we're just on our belly. Take a couple of breaths here, softening the space of the hips and the waist and the low back. We're on our belly here. We're gonna move and adjust and transition to be on our back. It's not a graceful way to do it. I want you to stay this close to the wall. I like to shift to one side and bring that knee underneath the body and then use my hands to flip the body over. There's still space between the wall and my bum, but we'll find chair pose. So feet are on the wall, knees are bent. Spine is against the mat. Moving into a little figure four. Let's lift the right leg up, cross the ankle, clip that ankle over your left leg. Now the foot that's on the wall is completely adjustable. You can slide it up, you can bend it lower, you can even let go of the wall. Little figure four here, move that bent right knee toward the wall and then draw it back towards your chest. You can even use the hand to help out a little passive range of motion, mobility. And then pause. Let's take the hands, interlace the fingers, and then slide the palms underneath your head, the back of the skull. The hands are going to be here to hold the weight of the head. I want the movement to actually start in the chest. So take an inhale. As you exhale, lift and hover the chest above the mat. Inhale, lower back down. Little variation of what we used to call crunches. We're only working in sets of 4. Thank goodness I can't count any higher. Then release. Let the back of the head come to the ground. Release the arms. Extend both legs up to the wall. I'm going to rest my heels on the wall and just take a moment to notice the effects of that. Bend the knees again, soles of the feet on the wall. There's that chair pose. Let's lift the left foot, clip the ankle over the right thigh, find a little movement. Knee moves away, knee moves forward. And notice in my body today, it's my hips that are doing all the motion. The legs are like, nope, too tired, don't want to move. I'll just rock the hips. That is totally fine. Interlace the fingers, slide those palms behind the head, keep the elbows wide. Awareness at the center of the chest. Exhaling as you lift. Inhaling as you lower. Just like before, as you finish the 4th one, release the hands. Extend the legs, rest the heels on the wall. I want you to think about the pelvis, the back of the hips. And then create a little tilt. Tailbone lifts to the heels, and then tailbone descends down to the ground. Now I'm exploring this with my legs straight, but it might feel really good to explore it with the knees bent. In fact, I'm going to do both, 4 sets of both. Invite the hips to be soft here. Take the hands, slide them along the back of the neck. Think about stretching the skin of the back of the neck toward the head, lengthening the back of the neck. Chin's going to come into the chest. And then just take your hands alongside the mat. Thumbs are on the top of the long edges of the mat. Curl the 4 fingers underneath, right below those thumbs. Press the elbows into the mat and explore stretching the mat apart. And then release. Now, I know the mat is never going to actually separate, but you might feel the arms activate there. Keep the mat spreading far apart. Press the feet into the wall. Curl the tailbone up and lift the hips. Lower back down. So flowing bridges using that support of the wall. If this is too much on the back, don't do it. Return to the little pelvic tilts. When you feel complete with that, hug the knees into the chest. Let the palms cup the knees. Find some circles. Legs can go in the same direction or opposite directions. Take the circles in the opposite way. Feet come down to the mat. Let's let our knees roll over to the left. Bring the arms over to the left. So coming into seat pose. If you're lying on your right, no worries. Stack the knees, stack the arms. We're gonna make full circles with that top arm. Reach it overhead, stretch it back behind, slide it along the hips, maybe even brush over the thigh. Moving through this, invite the spine to be limber, to be mobile. Not just working through the shoulder, but feeling those subtle stretches through the rest of the body. And the next time you open wide, pause, linger in the twist. Let the shoulders become heavy to the mat, taking up space. Bring awareness to the top leg. Start to open that top leg, knee lifts up to the sky, and then close the leg again. Little clamshell movement in our supine twist. So the arches of the feet are going to stay connected and the knee opens and closes. I have the image of an alligator mouth in my mind. The knees are opening and closing. The next time it opens, pause there. Roll over the bum all the way to the other side. Bring that left arm with you. Starting in that side lying position, arms are stacked, legs are stacked. Top arm does the motion. We circle the arm around, behind, down, stack. Moving, becoming aware, creating motion, letting this just feel really good. The next time you open into the twist, pause. Shoulders are heavy to the mat. Breathing. Awareness shifts to that top leg. Little alligator opening again. Arches stay connected, knee lifts. Knees come together. Moving mindfully with your breath. The next time your knees close, pause for a minute there. When we take our final resting pose, there's lots of variations when we're here at the wall. You could roll over onto your side and take seed pose, letting the back relax. You could roll onto your back. You could send the feet up the wall. You can take any variation that calls to you. We've got some blankets around, so gather them up. I'm going to turn the overhead lights off in the studio. The small lamps will still be on. For us in studio, I've got a little essential oil. Today's blend is coconut, velvetier, peppermint, clementine, and rosemary. I like to rub it, anoint you across the forehead. If the oil or the touch does not suit you today, just rest on it. Otherwise, your job, your responsibility here is to breathe. Invite the body to soften. Invite all the worries and stress that we hold sink into the support floor, the wall. The mind has drifted off. Gently guide it back to the breath. Paying attention to your inhale. Inviting the inhales to expand, to move and swirl along the curves of your body. And then bring a little bit of movement. We're all in a different position. So let that movement grow and expand. Eventually, rolling you over and up into any comfortable seated shape.
That was so comfortable.
When you arrive into that seated shape, lengthen through the spine. Swim the arms around and up overhead, palms meet. If you'd like to join me in Anjali Mudra, slide the thumbs down to the heart, pausing. May this practice remind you of the kindness, the support that's out there in the world. It also remind you on the days when you don't see it, you be that support. From my heart to each of yours, namaste.